here is my list of 300 things to do before I die on this massive poster here. It's huge. Maybe even too big. So today I want to go through the backstory as to why I did this and how I did this and how it's impacted me and why you should do this too. Because this has been probably the most profound activity I've ever done, making this list, and probably the most exciting thing I've ever created in general, and I look at it every day, and it's very exciting. So let's get into it. A couple of months ago, I met this dude on TikTok named Cam King, and I loved his content. He was putting out a ton of stuff about mental health and dating and relationships. And so I reached out to him, and I thought, well, what a great way to get to know somebody new is through TikTok, but also could be a potential guest on the podcast. He does a lot of coaching, so I'd love to check out what his coaching's all about. So we got on an intro call, and I loved talking to this guy. And I was like, you know what? That was a really fun hour. Let's do some coaching sessions. So we started working together. And the homework assignment that he gave me on our first session was to make a list of 300 things to do before I die. And I was like, oh, like a bucket list? He's like, yeah, like a bucket list. The whole point is you're going to design a really dope life for yourself, because when life gets tough, when people leave your life, when you end relationships, when work gets really hard, when people pass away, you always can come back to this root of yourself of, well, my life is great with or without certain people, with or without certain hobbies, whatever city I'm in, and I'm going to make it that way. So go do that homework. And I was like, okay. So a couple days later, I was on a flight from Los Angeles to Salt Lake City to go skiing. And, it's a pretty short flight. So I was like, all right, let's start the homework assignment now. And I started to make the list. I just made a notes doc on my phone of things to do before I die. And the first thing was like surf in Hawaii. The second thing was surf in Fiji. And then the third thing was surf in Iceland. And then we get into things like get married, have kids, have grandkids, sell my company for $25 million, sell a company for $100 million, run a marathon, visit the Great Wall of China, like basic stuff. And I got to 48 items. And then I was completely stumped. I was like, all right, well, I got 252 more to go, and I can't think of anything. So I started texting some friends. I was like, hey, guys, I'm making this list of things to do in my lifetime before I die. And everyone's like, why? Like, what do you mean? And I was like, well, I need some more ideas. Like, what else do we got? And all the ideas people gave me were things I had either already done, which was kind of cool, or things that were already on my list. And there wasn't a lot of depth to it or a lot of diversity to it. So I then succumbed and pulled up ChatGPT, which I didn't feel comfortable doing at first, but I thought, whatever, go for it. And I described to ChatGPT that I want to make this list. I didn't even call it a bucket list. I said I want to do 300 things before I die. And ChatGPT got really excited. It's telling me it's like the coolest idea ever. And let's make the list together. So over the course of this flight, I went through probably 6,000 ideas of things to do before I die. Big stuff, small stuff, creative stuff, career stuff. And I was almost moved to tears at how powerful this list started to become. So I want to read a couple of these off my list today. First of all, the list started really messy. And as I started to get into it more and more, I realized there's categories here. So then I asked ChatGPT, hey, can you put these into categories? And at this point, we're at like 100 items and then 200 items. And yet I'm going through the thousands of items that it's sharing with me before I started to be like, oh, I like that one. Or like, I'm going to take this, but augment it a little bit. And then some of them just gave me more ideas of things that were really specific to me, that it was just like a jumping off point. So the categories that we broke it into are, for my life, are adventure and travel, wealth, lifestyle, and legacy, creative projects and artistic expression, career and creative work, relationships, love and family, health and fitness, spirituality, soul and inner work, connection and community, and that's it. So what was that, 6 or 7 categories? So I have this list on ChatGPT and it's putting in all these categories. And then I was like, you know what? Make me a roadmap. Just curious. So then it's like, all right, your 30s are about blah, blah, blah. And these are all the things you're going to do before you turn 40 years old. So your 30s, in your adventure and travel, you're going to do this. In your wealth and lifestyle and legacy, you're going to do this. With relationships, love, and family, you're going to do this. Then you're going to enter your 40s. And that chapter is all about blank. And that's when you're going to do these items. And I was like, wow, that's pretty interesting. I've got this like plan for my life now. I don't have to follow it, but like it's kind of cool. So then I said, hey, you know what? Can you export this to a Notion document for me? So I made a Notion document with the 300 items, all tagged by category. And then I thought, man, I need to like make an artifact. I can't just like have this be some digital thing that I just check like once a week or once a month and review. So I thought, what if I made a poster? So I went on Figma and I designed this freaking massive poster. I actually didn't even expect it to be this big, but it's pretty big. And what I did was I just designed it out to be all of these different things, this big, massive list here. And then I also added about 100 lines for more. So in case I come up with more items, I can do that. I just thought it was like a really cool thing to frame and put up in my house. So here's what happened next, which is the crazy part. I spent like, I don't know, $70 at Kinko's and I ordered it, picked it up the next day. And when I showed up at Kinko's, the guy who printed it, he said to me, he's like, so how long do you have to like do all these items? And I was like, oh, you read the poster? He's like, oh, we all have been like reading it. And all these people who worked at Kinko's were like, yeah, dude, we like read your bucket list. This is so cool. Like, how many years do you have to get all this stuff done? And I was like, well, it's the rest of my life. Like some of these things are crazy. You know, we've got, eat ramen in a Tokyo alley or fly a plane or build a gallery wall of my favorite travel photography or plant a tree in my yard, give a TED Talk, start a scholarship fund, go 7 days without complaining, coach my kids' sports team, host a big family reunion. Like there's tons of stuff here. And so these people at Kinko's, the first people who ever saw this list, were like, dude, this is awesome. Like, I want to make one of these. And I was like, yeah, you should make it. It's kind of cool. So anyway, I go home and I frame it and I put it up in my house. In my like gear room area, and it's sitting on the wall. And over the course of a couple of days, I'm walking by it, 30, 40 times a day. It's just in the middle of my house. And each time I'm walking by it, I started to notice that I was just getting really excited about my life. Like anytime I was in a less than great mood, it was just like, oh, well, whatever. My life is sick. Look at all these things I'm going to do and continuing to do. I thought that was really fascinating. So then the next weekend rolls around, it's a Saturday, and my plans got canceled. And I was like, oh, you know what? I could just like go pick an item off the list and do that today. And if I just do that throughout the rest of my life, then I'm going to have an incredibly sweet life. So that's a pretty powerful thing, is just to have this like backup list of, oh, I don't have plans today. Like, let's just go do that one thing. Let's go build a time capsule. Like, why not? Let's go, dance alone in my kitchen for one full song, cross it off the list. And then there's big things that I can't do in a day that are just big picture projects, like visit Machu Picchu. Like I can't do that in a day. Or land a dream brand partnership, or attend a yoga retreat in another country. But at least I can put down steps to do all these things. So then I had a small party at my house. I had like 4 people over. And this was maybe 2 weeks after I printed the poster. And somebody brought a friend, so I didn't know this person. They were a new friend. They showed up at my house, and I went to the bathroom, and I see them standing in the hallway, like reading this list. And they were like, "What is this?" And I was like, "Oh, that's my list of 300 things to do in my lifetime. I just printed it the other day. Like, what do you think?" And they were like, "You're the coolest guy I've ever met." Now, I don't say that to tell you that I'm the coolest guy you ever met, because I'm definitely not. But one, it felt really good for them to tell me that. But I was like, well, thank you. That's super kind of you to say. They were like, no, dude, like everyone I know just like looks at the past. Like they just upload photos of like their past and then also like lives in the present. But no one's like planning out, scheming on this like big, beautiful life ahead of them. And you have it all right here. And they were like, can we do this? Can I do that? Can we do this one together? And I was like, yeah, we could do some stuff. Of course we could do things together. So it was this incredible way to like inspire and bring other people together and build relationships. I really encourage that. So fast forward again, another couple weeks. One of my items on this list is to throw a massive party for my 30th birthday. And I crossed it off because I did that. So I'm at my 30th birthday party, which was a weekend retreat in Joshua Tree. I got this big house in the desert, invited like 25 of my closest friends, and we danced, we hiked, we cooked, we did all kinds of cool stuff. And I was talking to some people about this list and how exciting it's been, and how like cool, how rich my life has been lately because of it. And so people were like, well, what are some of the items on the list? And so I pulled up the picture of this and I was reading some off. And one of them was shoot a sniper rifle. I've never shot a sniper rifle. I've shot like shotguns and handguns before, but never shot a sniper rifle. And I've always wanted to do that. You know, growing up playing Halo and Call of Duty and stuff, it just seemed like a cool thing to do. And one of the guys at the birthday was like, we could do that tomorrow. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I have a sniper rifle. We can go shoot a sniper rifle tomorrow. You want to do it? I was like, yes. So we drove out about 45 minutes to this spot in the desert, shot the sniper rifle. It was fucking awesome. And I was reflecting on it. I was like, that would have never happened had I not just been talking about the list and speaking into existence, sharing with the world all these like big picture things I want to do that just make my life rich and exciting. Now I'll never forget that memory. And quite frankly, for him and the other friends who joined on it too, they have that memory with me as well, where they could be like, I brought Jake to shoot a sniper rifle for the first time on his 30th birthday, and it was like a bucket list item for him. And together we got to cross it off the list right here on April 4th, 2025. So, such a cool, epic thing that has had profound impact on my life. And so far, there's already been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 things that I've done that I got to cross off the list. And this is since April, like early April this year. So about almost 2 months. And I figure if I keep doing like 1 or 2 things a month for the rest of my life, it's going to be the most incredible life ever. Some of these things, like I said, are small and easy, like go bird watching or photograph wild animals somewhere, or, you know, sit ringside at a major UFC event. Some of these things are really deep and tough, like hold a loved one's hand while they die, or write a letter for a loved one to read at my funeral, or send surprise letters to my top 5 closest friends, thanking them for a lifetime of friendship. Have a baby, have a second baby, buy a stranger's lunch and walk away, be the reason 2 people fall in love, give a best man speech at a friend's wedding, get invited into a stranger's home for dinner, host a massive Friendsgiving at an epic home, stay in an off-grid cabin with no electricity, develop a legendary family holiday tradition. I'm just reading off random items on my list. At the top of the list here in the corner, I don't know if you could see that okay, but there's a little message of what this is all about. I'm going to read it to you. It says, this bucket list is a beautiful mix of wild adventure, meaningful connection, creative ambition, and soul work. I began building it when I turned 30. It reads like the life story of someone who's fully awake. My goal is not just checking boxes. My goal is to build a life worth rereading. Pretty deep, right? I know. Wrote that myself. There's a couple of rules with the list. Rule number 1 is you could take as long as you need to make the list. You could bang it all out in a day, that's pretty cool. A little bit concerning if you can do it that quickly, but something to think about. Or if it takes you weeks to create. I have friends who are in the middle of making their list and they're already like 5-6 weeks in and they haven't finished the list yet. Take as much time as you need. Rule number 2, it has to be 300 items. You could start with 10, you could start with 20, you can start with 100, but the list is not built. There's nothing to print yet until you get to 300. 300 is a lot. It's an outrageously high number of things. It is not required that you do all of them. You don't fail if you don't do all of the items on the list. But you need to get to 300 because that outrageously high number forces you to think outside the box, forces you to come up with new ideas of things to do. You're like, oh, I want to sell a company for $10 million. And you're like, but then I could also like sell another company for 25 mil or sell another company for 100 mil. And like, now you've got 3 items on the list. Or let's say you're thinking, oh, I want to do a month where I eat no sugar. Now you might be like, oh, maybe it'd be cool to do a month where I like don't drink any caffeine. That's another item. Or maybe I could do a month where I like run a mile every single day. Or maybe I'll do a month where I run 2 miles every single day. Like let the ideas start to spread to each other. You have to get to 300. The last rule is you have to talk to everybody about this. Not for me. I don't really care. But if you're keeping this to yourself, sure, you can keep some items to yourself if they're very private to you in your life, but if you're not sharing with the world and speaking into existence about what you've written on the list, people can't help you achieve these things. And it is wild how many people have resources, have other people that they know, have items, have time, have whatever, where they can contribute to helping you reach your goal on the list. For example, the sniper rifle story. Had I not just said it out loud to my group of friends sitting around a campfire, then my buddy wouldn't have been like, I have a sniper rifle that we can go shoot. And then it just never would have happened. And now here I am just sitting on this like unchecked box on the list, this experience that I wouldn't have had otherwise. So you have to be a little bit slutty about it. Talk to everybody about this list and see what happens. And then you need to encourage others to do the list as well. I want to live in a world where everyone's got a list like this. Think about how much happier and more inspired and more inspiring people will be because of it. So here's the call to action. I encourage you to build your list. The first 5 people who DM me a link to their list, whether it's a spreadsheet or a notes doc, doesn't matter to me. I will personally, for free, make you a poster. It could be 4 feet, it could be 3 feet, you could choose the size, and I will send it to your home. And it'll be 300 things to do in your lifetime. If you're not one of those 5 people, make a list anyway. Put it in your house. You can make a list with your partner and do one for your relationship. You can make a list with your team at work and do one for the company. But I definitely encourage doing one for yourself, and do that one solo, whether you keep it private, whether you make it very public. Please make a list. We don't realize how quickly time passes. We don't realize how mundane and boring life can be if we're not putting in the effort to make it incredible. When life gets hard, because life does get hard, this is what keeps us going. Like, this is what keeps us alive. This is what keeps us inspired, and it's what brings us together with each other. This was the greatest exercise I've ever done. It's also a very cool piece of art to hang up in your home. And I'm going to have this the rest of my life. In every house I live in from here on out, I'm going to have this in my office or in my bedroom or wherever. Please make your list of 300 things to do in your lifetime. Shout out to Cam King for the awesome homework assignment, the awesome inspiration. And shout out to everybody else who's been part of this short journey so far of 2 months along the way. Much love to all of you. And I can't wait to hear how your list building goes. Thank you.